Good morning. Welcome to Passion Sunday. Passion Sunday is the fifth Sunday in Lent, and it begins the 2-week period in the church known as Passion Tide. So welcome today. You'll find the readings from the lectionary written up in the post if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube and you're listening from YouTube, they are Ezekiel 37, 1 to 14, Psalm 130, Romans 8, 6 to 11, and the Gospel today is John 11, 1 to 45. And that's what I'll be doing a little sermonette on, is the Gospel of John, and the story about Martha and the encounter with Jesus, their friend, when Lazarus, Mary and Martha's brother, had died. I came across a true story about a Sunday school teacher the other day. The teacher was testing the children in Sunday school class to see if they understood the concept of getting into heaven. She asked them, if I sold my house and my car, had a big garage sale and gave all my money to the church, would that get me into heaven? No, the children answered. If I cleaned the church every day, mowed the garden and kept everything tidy, would that get me into heaven? Again, no, the children answered. If I gave sweets to all the children and loved my husband, would that get me into heaven? Again, no, the children answered. She was just bursting with pride for them, so she continued. Then how do I get into heaven? A little boy stood up and shouted, You've got to be dead! Oh, goodness. Children, they're great, aren't they? They're so innocent and so blunt a lot of the time. Well, the gospel this morning is blunt in itself. It's all about being blunt. And Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. You know, Martha wasn't actually blaming Jesus for not being there. She was making a statement of faith. She was acknowledging that Jesus had the power to heal, and that he had it in his power to have prevented Lazarus' death. Martha probably didn't predict that Jesus would raise Lazarus from the dead. What she's saying here is, Jesus, I know you have the power to heal. And I know that you could have prevented my brother's death. And even though you didn't, I still believe that you're from God, and I still believe that you're the Messiah, and I still believe that God listens to your prayers and is working through you. In other words, even though my brother is dead, I still trust you, Jesus. What an amazing faith. In amongst a darkness and pain, she still believed in Christ. You can imagine all the anger and pain wrapped up in Martha, born from the grief of her brother Lazarus' death. And we see on our TV screens at the moment, they're filled with images of exhausted doctors and nurses, red eyes from constant crying from those who have lost loved ones to the coronavirus. Fear and isolation in our neighbours, none of it is a pretty sight right now. I remember a time years ago when we were trying for a baby, my husband and I. And I felt a little bit like Martha, actually, especially going through the IVF. I remember having a similar conversation with God. I said to him, you know, all the physical intervention that's going on right now, the weight loss, the hormone injections, the healthy eating, the prayer, the belief that I had that God could do this. God could just make all this work. And it didn't. But in all the grief and the loss, I can honestly say I never lost faith in him. As many of you in our congregations know, Matty and I are still yet to find our family, but little did we realise that our journey would take us in this direction of adoption and all the joy that that will bring. We never know which direction our lives will go in, We don't know what God will do with our situations, but we don't need to. We just need to hold on to that belief that he will rock up and he will do something. And that something will one day be something wonderful. Martha went from grief to joy in 4 days. After the crucifixion, the disciples went from grief to joy in 3 days. There's a bit of a common theme here. With Christ in our lives, I can't tell you how long it will be, but we will go from grief to joy in whatever situation life throws at us. These days of self-isolation and staying at home are hard, they're tough. Waiting on God is always the hardest. But we need to remember he's always with us. He's with us amongst the army support, delivering supplies to those on the front line right now. He's with us working behind the scenes in the minds of those in the laboratories trying to learn about this virus right now. And he's in every one of your lives and situations right now. But you know, I've no doubt at all that Martha was changed that day when Jesus raised her brother. And we too will be changed by the experiences we're all going through right now. I came across a beautiful quote on Facebook the other day. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who the author was, so you'll have to forgive me. But it said, "When this is all over, I will never take for granted again a coffee with a friend, playing in the park, going to social events, church services, full shelves at the grocery store, restaurants to dine in, or a simple handshake to say hello. I know that when this is over, the world will be different. I hope that it's a kinder, more thankful world, closer to God." May you find that you grow closer to God. May the time you spend at home be a special time, getting to know God more. May your soul be fed and loved by the God who will one day turn all our grief into joy. Don't forget to tune in to Bishop Cherry live on our link on Facebook as she comes to you live this morning for Passion Sunday, or find the link on the Monmouth Diocese website page. But other than that, have a great day, stay safe, and God bless.